Hey all, Ron here from Military Images Magazine with a new episode of Life on the Civil War Research Trail. I spent a good chunk of today working on a story about Raphael Semmes, which you'll see in a future issue of the magazine. I was actually doing some fact checking, and one detail I was trying to confirm is where exactly Raphael Semmes was when Richmond fell. And as I was checking out newspapers to find an answer to this question, I stumbled upon an amazingly vivid account that appeared in a newspaper that we don't hear that much about. It's the Richmond Daily Register. And it is, to me, it's so powerful and it's so moving that I just had to come on and share it with you. It's signed by an individual named Cartouche, which is a name that's being used by someone who I imagine is a correspondent. I need to do some more research. I did some preliminary research and didn't find the individual behind the name Cartouche. But wow, what a moving account. I want to read it to you. It's headlined The Last Days in Richmond, and it is sub-headlined On Cars to Danville, it's Virginia, On Cars to Danville, April 3rd, 1865. So this account was written on the day that Richmond was being evacuated and the Union troops were moving in and the town's being evacuated. So without further ado, let me read this to you. Richmond is fallen, Petersburg captured, our noble army defeated. Sad day. Secretly and silently, Grant moved a heavy force from north of the river. On Saturday, the 1st of April, the fight commenced, but on Sunday, the decisive battle was fought. The enemy's line of battle extended from the banks of the Appomattox east of Petersburg, thence westward to the South Side Railroad. The Confederate lines was penetrated at several points and the unity of the army destroyed. Loss on both sides very heavy. The precise amount not to be ascertained at this early date. It is said that General A.P. Hill was killed and Fitzhugh Lee mortally wounded. Lane's North Carolina brigade is cut to pieces and captured. General Longstreet came up with reinforcements, but was utterly unable to restore the order of battle. General Gordon drove the enemy back and succeeded in regaining his lost positions, except that at Reeves' salient, Gordon is regarded as the hero of the day. On reception of this news, all Richmond was in the greatest consternation. Every truck, a dray, or other carriage that was in the city was placed in immediate requisition on Sunday afternoon. Main Street was covered with vehicles taking out beds, chairs, and other furniture from the city. People running in every direction with anxious countenances inquiring the news. Greatest activity prevailed in government, packing up records and shipping by rail. The president and other high officials left at 8 p.m. on a special train. At night, a lawless mob commenced breaking open stores, restaurants, and banking houses. And this morning, the sidewalks were covered with the debris of the gutted establishment. As I hurried down Main Street at an early hour this morning on my way from the hotel to the depot, I noticed particularly the houses of Powhatan, Weisiger, and Jeanette. They were turned upside down. The loss of the latter was estimated at $500,000. A little after midnight, the city was terribly concussed by the explosion of magazines of the ironclads Virginia, Commander Semmes's flagship, the Richmond, Fredericksburg, and Torpedo, and of the wooden ships Raleigh, Hampton, and Nansemond. After daybreak, the Patrick Henry, used as a school ship, and the shrapnel were destroyed. The shock was so severe that the panes of glass were shivered in the windows of the Spotswood Hotel. There were no bridges burnt over James River at the hour of our leaving, 8:30 a.m., save that of the Petersburg and Richmond Railroad. The burning of that costly structure was one of the most magnificent sights that I ever beheld. As the cars rolled off, we were told that Mayo's bridge was burnt. The crackling frames and falling timbers of Hacksaw's immense buildings and other contiguous houses, reports of bursting ordnance, explosion of bombs at the laboratory and arsenal, the devoted city enveloped in thick wreaths of pitchy smoke, its localities identified only by the thickest smoke of more recent explosions or the fiery tongues of the leaping flames, presented a sight the like of which may I never see again. The quartermaster's establishment at the Basin, commissaries' quarters, the Gallego mills and Hacksaw's tobacco warehouses, and lots with whole acres of tobacco, the shipping at rockets, and perhaps immense amounts of other property beyond the reach of my vision, were all on the about the hour of sunrise. From standpoint of your correspondent, south of the James, the unfortunate metropolis seemed to be one vast funeral pyre. At 3 p.m. on Sunday afternoon, the legislature was called together, no quorum appearing if adjourned to meet at some other place. The Dispatch is the only paper of today that I have seen. Do not know whether any other is out, as the second-class militia were all out yesterday and last night. This is written on the last train leaving Richmond. No rolling stock that can be moved is left behind. 2 detached locomotives follow this train. Admiral Semmes and all the personnel of the Navy have just entered the cars. We are now 6 miles of Burkeville Junction and hear that a body of Yankees are there pressing us. An artillery officer, our latest arrival from Richmond, crossed the James in a canoe, says the enemy entered the city, and an officer, supposed Yankee general, was addressing a crowd from the Washington Monument. I have seen the last of Richmond, a poor, unhappy Richmond. Heaven save her the fate of Columbia. Wow. What a powerful, vivid story. The urgency of the moment. Still feeling the pain and the suffering. This correspondent named Cartouche sitting inside a train as Admiral Semmes and some contingent of his Navy men are piling on board. The explosions across the city, the leaping flames, the thick smoke, smoke upon smoke, only showing where the city once was. I don't think it gets more powerful than this. So hats off to Cartouche for supplying us, leaving behind this amazing account of a city and a people in the utmost despair and distress as 4 years of their city loyalty to the Confederate cause was all gone in smoke and flame. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next episode.